Welcome to AKHAND Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss what AKHAND Chakra, the 10th insular cortex, the central autonomic nervous system. As I've been saying, this is a process of so many janmas, births. As a result, I'm able to reach this particular level of consciousness. Most important thing which I've been discussing from my childhood till today is the Karma Yoga, Dharma, Earth, Kam, Moksha, and Karma, Moksha to the best of my intentions to go for perfection and be in tune with the universal consciousness has moved on to this life from the very beginning itself. That is the strength of the mind and actions, and moving towards higher and higher levels of consciousness is the one which I have manifested, and I am sharing my experience in the light of spiritual science. The first thing which comes very, very close to me, that entire universe was created from the very beginning, is sustained and maintained, and process goes on. And the process of realization of the creation, development and maturation of universal consciousness is there with every human being. And we go through the process in culture, in plant kingdom, mineral kingdom, human beings and all the things in a very process way. The best creation in the universe is the human being, and the one who is in tune with universal consciousness can experience the creation, development and maturation of the entire universe, the way it has happened mathematically within the physical body. And that is the sense is given in Ved and Upanishad, and I have just done that over a period, step by step, trying to be perfect completely the way the human beings are designed to be. In that process, I do find my devotion for Mata Vaishno Devi, who is the incarnation of Goddess Durga, represents Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali, also Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all the three processes of Trinity, male, female and completely, and through them the divine mathematics and actions I have realized the whole beauty, including Om and otherwise. From that point of this particular chakra is designed over from 1995 to 225, and this is a part of the perfect human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology. The human being is a just reflection of the universal consciousness, which is called Pidand Brahman Ek. Then comes to the question of Kundalini is the Antaratma within every human being who was born, and that is helium-4, which comes from the sun, and it was formed with 6,000, and it can maintain for generation of generation, and that's it. And all the effects of earlier lives are stored in orbits around Kundalini or helium-4 over a period, and that starts a journey from the life we had left earlier. This continuation I know is very well, and as a result I am able to come to this level of consciousness, not this life but so many lives. But having done that, we are starting a knowledge which is perfect, never seen before. Glimpses were seen in Ved and Upanishad to great an extent, but completion is in this life from 2015. Now come to the question, chakras. In the center there are 10.344 chakras. This is the 10th chakra which I am talking about. They go clockwise for energy and anti-clockwise for reduction. And there are 108 chakras, and I'll be talking to them as we go on. Muladhara chakra is the first chakra right at the bottom, which controls the legs and the pelvic region as such, which is the sympathetic system. Upper paravertebral and two legs thing is there, Muladhara chakra in ganglion impar, and ganglion impar is the one which Kundalini sleeps and dreams and does all the things required there. When this Kundalini moves from Muladhara chakra to get into Brahma Nadi is through breaking the Brahma Granthi, which are the nerve petals between spinal cord and ganglion impar. And once this energy passes through that and gets to the ventricles, it reaches the ventricles of the brain, then you can internalize yourself completely. This is something is absolutely essential for spiritualization of yourself, to realize yourself and then realize the entire universe. Then comes to the Swadhisthana chakra, the very first chakra, after which it moves to the second chakra, which is the reproductive center. It produces testosterone in male, estrogen in female, and same testosterone which is good for muscles, RBC, blood cells, oxygen otherwise, is also converted estradiol, which is ojas for physical health, to tejas to intelligence, takes place, and when it moves through Vani Nadi within Sushumna Nadi, it can give you the power of the intelligence, intuition very, very strongly. Then come to the third chakra is Nabhi chakra, which is adrenal gland. It is emergency gland. It can make sure that we survive come what may be. Then come to the Apana Prana, is something which is there in Aitreya Upanishad, word which nobody could decode. And I said this is Apana Prana in Aitreya Upanishad is talking about umbilical cord, which is used for expulsion from the fetus growing, and also the energy for the fetus from mother comes through umbilical cord, and that is what is required to understand ancient Indian wisdom of Veda and Upanishad completely. Then come to the Manipura, the fourth chakra is the center of digestion of nutrition, stomach, pancreas, liver, intestines, all these parts stay together, where Kundalini moves to this for digestion of the food. Wherever the Kundalini goes, after food, after breakfast, lunch and dinner, when it's heavy enough, it can move into that, and you can change the concentration by having adequate food and taking rest thereafter. Any problem from other side is resolved in the process. Then come to the Vishnu Granthi. Right at the part I spoke about the Brahma Granthi. Now Vishnu Granthi is the Kundalini moving below the diaphragm to the higher centers, by and large, right up to AKHAND itself. I had experienced a part of the movement from Manipura chakra to Ajna chakra when I was initiated. But going up to AKHAND is there with Vishnu Granthi itself. Then come to Anahata chakra, chest, and it is with thymus gland, which is essential for cell mediated immunity as well antibodies, and also the heart and lungs are very clearly connected with Anahata chakra. Lungs for oxygen, heart for circulation, and thymus for immunity. Then come to Vishuddhi chakra in the throat, which produces thyroid hormone for the heat in the body, and the process of energy to convert thyroglobin with iodine is what the blue star or blue Nilkant, blue throat of Lord Shiva is all about. I have explained that also scientifically. Then come to the question of thyroid and parathyroid, how they maintain the role to maintain calcium phosphate concentration, which according to it designed according to Divyang. This is something which is very, very important stage in evolving from Mooladhara to Swadhisthana to Nabhi to Manipura to Anahata to Vishuddhi. Then comes to the question of Ajna chakra, in which Sat chakra Nirupan talks about it, two patterns. Mooladhara 4, Swadhisthana 10, Nabhi 10, Manipura 12, Anahata 12, Vishuddhi 16. But when it comes to Ajna chakra, Sat chakra talks of only two, not more than that. And it is associated with pituitary, which is associated with hypothalamus. That complex is there. So seventh is a pituitary and the brainstem nervous system coordination. Then comes to the Vigyan chakra, in which hypothalamus and pituitary work together. Anterior, posterior and central part is the something which is the head ganglion for autonomic nervous system and endocrine system. Once it is done, you awareness of that, you will be able to understand the concept of Sat chakra Nirupana completely by these 8 chakras itself. Now come to the Pragyan chakra, is the right on top of the ventricles of the brain. You have a pineal gland which looks like pine, and it is the one which is sensitive enough to experience that. Once Kundalini has moved into ventricle, it can activate this, and when this is activate, the person would never have a deficiency of pineal gland, which we normally see in people. That person will be able to see Kundalini very well with the pineal gland itself and the organs, and also with Nagamani concept. And once that is understood, you know what is third eye. In the reptilian, it is the venom which gets converted to this stone. I think that was a phenomenal awareness. And this is a picture of Antaryog where Kundalini moves into third ventricles. It can activate hypothalamus and pituitary from inside, and all the nuclei around the ventricles are the one which produce good hormones like oxytocin for that matter, and also pain killing hormones. So Satchit Anand can also be experienced when Kundalini is moved into that. Then there will not be any dearth of any issues, and person would not need any medicine for whatever reason may be. Once it comes to that stage, I think we have moved on to much higher level of higher consciousness. Anamay Kosh to Pranamay Kosh, Manamay Kosh, Vigyanmay Kosh to Anandamay Kosh can come in Antar Yoga itself. When Kundalini is moved inside, this is very clear cut. Kundalini can move from Muladhara to Sahasrara Chakra through external route of Pranamaya Kosha, through the breathing itself, and having enough oxygen, enough RBC, hemoglobin, and they can produce electromagnetic force, power enough to move the Kundalini through the outer side. But that will come down as you stop the breathing. But inside in, you have a connection. All the 100 trillion cells can be within, and you can experience the health of all the 100 trillion cells absolute, and your body will tell you what is required, what is required, food is required, what is required. Body itself will tell you are in a perfect state of homeostasis. That's the beauty of Kundalini Yoga or Tantra Yoga or AKHAND Yoga. Then come to the question of AKHAND chakra, which has not been spoken by anybody, and I am talking about, I have already spoken, there is central autonomic nervous system, and there are insular cortex which is there. And I am going to explain to this concept what is insular cortex, what is AKHAND chakra, what is both of them represent, and what this is the 9th level or 10th level of consciousness. From Muladhara to Swadhisthana to Nabhi to Manipura to Anhata to Vishuddhi to Gyan to Vigyan to Pragyan to AKHAND. This complete integration takes place within the human body itself, and that is what I am going to explain to you now. Let's say this particular picture, who discovered the 10 lobes of human being? Let me tell you one thing very, very clearly. It is Shivbhushan Sharma itself who brought the awareness with the Kundalini chakras, nadis, that insular cortex is very, very important. And let me unfold the secret how things. But in this picture you can see motor lobe, parietal, occipital, temporal and insular. 2 into 5 is 10 only. But nobody talks about insular cortex as such. They only talk of motor, parietal, temporal and occipital. Let's now, general perception, there are 8 lobes of human brain. That's what everybody is talked about. All the neuroscientists talk of only 8 lobes. They do not talk of 10. Now I'm going to justify why 10 by giving the substance results of neuroanatomy completely to show it is 10, not 8. Now comes the question. Anterior motor pair is 2, posterior parietal cortex is 2, posterior occipital is 3, and posterior temporal 3. In this you can realize that last 3 part, parietal, occipital and temporal, are sensory, motor is 1. But center is insular cortex, which is not spoken about any other. This picture will tell you what is taught to the world as such in the neuroscience. This is a picture from Google. Now comes the question, when you remove the you can see insular cortex is inside, and that is below the somatosensory and behind the motor spinal thalamus. But you can also see the down sympathetic and parasympathetic vagal outlet is associated indirectly with insular cortex only. sympathetic output and vagal output. Both are associated directly with insular cortex, which is over the hypothalamus. Let that be very, very clear. Now you can see the vertebral column, which is Sushumna Nadi, has cervical 7 nerves but 16 nerves, and thoracic 12 but 24 nerves, 12 of Anahata, 12 of Manipura. Then lumbar you have L1 to L5, from which you have the third one, which is connected with you can call it Nabhi chakra itself. The sacrum has got 5, but 3 pair of nerves arise which is the pelvic region, which is with Swadhisthana, and cox is the one which Mooladhara chakra is connected with coccygeal ganglion or ganglion impar. I think this is the science and everything is evidenced very, very clearly. But when cervical there are 7, actually hyoid vein is the 8th one, that's why there are 16, not 14. Now come to the question of spinal cord. Let me make one thing very clear. Spinal cord 10 Rexed Laminae, back, center and middle. But the picture in the center which I have shown of spinal cord, you can see the anterior horn cells, posterior dorsal root and the lateral horns. These lateral horns are associated with insular cortex or autonomic nervous system. Sympathetic fibers from T1 to L2, 14 segment comes from lateral horns, and similarly sacral parasympathetic. So this picture makes it very clear. There are 10 here, 10 there, and this missing part which is there only in thoracic and lumbar and this sacral part, they are associated with sympathetic and sacral parasympathetic. They come from lateral horn. I think this is anatomy which is understood. They can see these parts which is only these two parts, missing other thing, has to be represented in AKHAND chakra or insular cortex. Now come to the question of, as I shown once again, the picture, you have frontal lobe 2, parietal 2, occipital 2, temporal 2, and then you have insular cortex 2. So according to Divyak there are 10 and medical sciences 8. I have shown it very clearly. And similarly the other things which I have shown, as in this picture also, see, you can see cervical, you do not see lateral horns, but thoracic you can see, and 2 of the lumbar you can see, sacrum also you can see, which I have shown to you in the picture earlier. And this is what is a reflection of 10 lobes and Rexed Laminae and associated with lateral horns. I think makes the things very, very clear for everybody to understand. Once that is understood, we can go to the higher levels of understanding, because finally you come to this part of the neocortex, which is below the outer 3 layers, where automatically things are automatically taken care of. It's a central autonomic control which are closely associated with sensory, motor and autonomic connectively through the brain, and the system is very, very beautiful. Now I'm showing you another picture of autonomic nervous system, which is Satchakra Nirupana. This is reptilian brain. There are 4 pairs of cranial parasympathetic nerves, 4, and 14 pairs of paravertebral nerves which come from T1 to L2. There are 14, and sacrum is only 3. 4 plus 14 plus 3 is 21, and when you go beyond to that, to Pragyan chakra, and then come to AKHAND chakra, you bring that 22nd statement. 21 is there from Mooladhara right up to Agniya or Vigyan alone. But higher comes the 22nd, which Veds and Upanishads are also talking about. And that is what Devyank's part is, 22 by 21. 21 are here. 22nd goes right up to AKHAND chakra. 10. Now comes to question, as I told you, the same picture, cranial parasympathetic 4, sympathetic 14 and sacral 3. Now, according to function 21 chakra, this parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic function rest, digest, and conserve energy. Sympathetic mobilize energy for, and that is what spirituality also is sympathetic nature. When the sympathetic is very high, you can go sympathetic overactivity. You could have high rate and other things. The energy level will be very good. That's autonomic system is a perfect integrated homeostasis. Your body will be able to bring your blood volume as well as pressure and all the glucose level, water, everything through this system and can give you what is required at the given moment of time. So that's why Tantra becomes very important. The perfect physical health, emotional stability, intelligence, intuition, education, enlightenment are connected with autonomic nervous system, endocrine system within that, and what is Chakra Nirvana talking about. So that is what is going to give you this. And right up to these 10 chakras, body itself can make you perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. And that is what I'm saying. Provided you are perfectly healthy, you do not need medicines. Food alone can, and body will tell you what is required and what not. If you are very intuitive, do not take non-vegetarian, do not take alcohol, do not take drugs, do not reduce the sensitivity of the sensory system. You will be perfectly healthy, and so will your motor, involuntary and voluntary, both will be perfect. Only in that you can experience the perfect health. If you are taking a single medicine which is going to affect this system, you are in for a problem. Now come to the central autonomic nervous system. I am showing once again. You have seen the spinal cord, then Ajna chakra, and then you have seen the Vigyan chakra, and on top of that you have seen the Pragyan chakra, and you have also seen insular autonomic cortex, and you have seen AKHAND chakra. So these 4 chakras associated with this part, which we can call it central autonomic nervous system. And once these are integrated, only then you experience the 10 chakras within your body. And this is not what is spoken in such chakra, talks of 6. These 4 chakras make it 10. And but you are still below the human potential completely. Even AKHAND chakra is only up to insular cortex only. That means the concentration is below the 4th layer of neocortex. Outer 3 layers, first, second and third, are still not touched in this particular thing. Let me make it very clear. This concentration would be possible for every human being provided they're happy, and that would give you at least 10 stages of level very clearly. Now comes question. As I told you, cranial parasympathetic system is the upper outlook, and they come from brainstem as such. And the nerves are, as you can see in this particular, oculomotor, facial, glossopharyngeal and vagus. These are 4 pairs of nerves: oculomotor, facial, glossopharyngeal and vagus, as you can see, and they center around Ajna and Vigyan as such, and the one which is reptilian bit right on top, and that is the first thing. Now out of this, the top nerve as such from the midbrain is oculomotor, which is associated with eyes, and when energy is very high, this will close. When energy is low, sympathetic will come to open it. Parasympathetic will close it, sympathetic will open it, is very clear. Similarly, concentration of the nose would increase and saliva would increase when you are interfacial nerve, and I have suffered from it. And by having too much of concentration because of too much of sattvic food and kapha dosha, now I do not have, because I learned how to ground myself and balance in that. And what I did for 3 years ENT, now I don't need with the food and meditation breathing itself, I can rectify with the food alone. Then come to the glossopharyngeal and vagus. Right vagus nerve is there right up to digestion, and also the chest otherwise. And once these nerves are connected, you know the cranial parasympathetic system can give you the power of digestion, rest and conservation of energy. And you see that both the neurotransmitters in parasympathetic is acetylcholine only, whereas in sympathetic, preganglion is acetylcholine and post is adrenaline. And that difference also is very clear. It's the adrenaline which gives you extra energy to give you power. And that's why maybe smoking and many of those things can increase hallucinating drugs, but they are disturbing you that unnatural way. You should do that with the perfect body. Also, you can experience it much more smoothly as Satchit Anand. Then comes to the question, a picture I've shown how oculomotor does pupillary reflex, annual accommodation reflex, and that shows how beautifully this system is. This was also a picture made by me. I think very good. You can read it as like how Edinger-Westphal nucleus closes the pupil when you look between the eyes, which are done, and that is shows you how wet you can control the system to see the entire world within your own body itself. Then sympathetic is dilatation, that is a contraction. Similarly, heart, cranial parasympathetic vagus would reduce the heart rate and sympathetic will increase. So tachycardia is a reflection of sympathetic overactivity and bradycardia is primarily because of parasympathetic activity. Now this is the sympathetic system. As I told you very clearly, you have T1 to L2, there are 14 segments from which 28 nerves arise, and then you have 22 paravertebral one side, 22 other side, and bottom Mooladhara, the 45 but 20 is again Divyank. This is the beauty of Divyank at every stage, which is vital, control, and that is required. Once this is understood, I think you are perfectly fine. But as you see, the neurotransmitter is acetylcholine to start with, noradrenaline is at vascular level. And now, as far as AKHAND chakra is concerned, sympathetic is there from right on top to the bottom, whereas parasympathetic is within the body, and sympathetic is throughout, right from top to the bottom, this is where sympathetic comes to save us, whereas parasympathetic comes to play a role of rest, digestion, conserve energy, and sympathetic survive. That's the reason Navi chakra, adrenal gland, has all the hormones, steroids, plus adrenaline and noradrenaline from adrenal medulla can give you the power and save you come what may be. And if that is understood, you lead the life perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. And I think once this is understood, you will be able to understand Tantra better. And when you understand Tantra Vidya completely, only then you can understand perfect anatomy, perfect physiology, perfect biochemistry and perfect psychology. All the four of them, only Tantra is speaking very clearly, which modern science by and large is deficient. And the next chakra which I am going to talk about it is going to be Divyank chakra, which is the 10 plus 10.3441. 0.3441 is one chakra, which is Divyank, which complete the whole process. And where it is and how you're going to see it, where you have energy much higher than ever expected by any human being on the earth. Now coming to this sympathetic chain, Ida and Pingla, you can see two snakes on either side, and center is the one which is Sushumna Nadi. Within that you have Vani Nadi, within that you have Surya Nadi, within that you have Chandra Nadi, and within that you have ventricles, and within that you have the ventricles. You can see all the pictures and all the chakras very beautifully here. And this is where the Western picture of medical science and Indian of Tantra put together come and show. With this and both together with a precision thing, you can be a perfect human being. From that angle, I think this picture makes it very clear. You can see all right up to 10 chakras in this itself. Right, the AKHAND is right on top. Then you have Pragyan, Vigyan, Ajna, Vishuddhi, Anhata, Manipura, Nabhi, Swadhisthana and Muladhara chakra. And within that Kundalini inside, you can see the spot green right in the mid, and you can see the wings and ninth part and everything. Everything is like, once you experience it, then you only know how beautiful is your universal consciousness. And thank you very much.